I asked that question because I wanted to come back. I want to prove a point. But before I go further, could y'all just throw out some names of people you think in our history is the most revolutionary, the ones that we should all follow and emulate? Just throw some names out.
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Khalid Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad,
Harriet Tubman.
Okay.
I'm gonna go, Thomas
Turner.
That's a lot.
John Jacques Dessalines.
Okay.
Who was with him? Who was with Dessalines? Brother Hayden.
Louverture?
Louverture, yeah. Toussaint Louverture.
Chokwe Lumumba.
I think Afeni Shakur.
Yes, sir.
A lot of them leave her out, bro. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. You ready?
I know there's a left hook coming.
Which one of them went to an African-centered school? I'm waiting. I'll wait.
You say which one?
Which one of them, who, of all the people you named, who went to an African-centered school?
I think they kind of got it out the mud, kind of how we got it.
No. The question is,
none.
Who went to an African-centered school out of all those people? You know the answer is, right? Not one of them. What's my point? Now listen, don't get mad at me. I'm making a point. What I'm trying to get people to see is a lot of what we believe has to be challenged to see, is this true? We are saying things all the time from ideology, but some of what we believe isn't true. The actual facts show that's not true. So it is not a fact that you have to go to an African-centered school to be revolutionary. Why? And thank God. You know why? Because African-centered schools, the way we understand them, didn't start until the Black Power movement, 60s, 70s. So wait. The people we're naming are coming about in the 19th century, the early 20th century. They couldn't have possibly be going to African-centered school. What school did they go to? A segregated Black school or integrated white or a school with whites. So how did they become so revolutionary? How did they become people that we want to be like? Because education doesn't just come from school. That's how. Because they had elders in their community who were in unions. They had people who were in organizations. They had people who were in the church. And all of those people educated them. It's the white man's theory that education comes from a school. That's the white man's thinking. Africans understood education happens everywhere you interact with your people. So when Nana was teaching and when Pops was teaching and when the preacher, all of those people were teachers. And thank God, because if it was true that you had to go to African-centered school, we would all be deaf, dumb, blind, Negroes, and coons.
Yeah, man.
I didn't go to African-centered school either. I went to all Catholic and private schools. How did I get conscious? Because my father and my community, because of the people in Harlem that took me in, Una Mozak, who owned the Liberation Bookstore, and all of these people. It wasn't the school that made me who I am. It was the school of my community that made me who I am.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be brief.
Then I got one.
I understand what you're saying, and yes, you have a valid point, but we also have to look at the numbers and the percentages. So out of all of our people that went through European schools, how many of them actually went off to become leaders of the race after a European school? And I think
that's not the question. That wasn't my question. Was simple, and you have to submit. You have to submit.
I submit to that. I submit to that. But hold on, Abasi. Hold on,
That's
Abasi.
a different question. That's a different question. All I was trying to say was we don't have to go to African-centered schools. Listen, 85% of Black children school age go to public school, man. 85%. I'm a school teacher. That means only 15% go to private school. African-centered schools have to be private because they have to be independent. But the white man's not telling what to do. But only 50% of our kids go. So look, this is why this is important. I'm constantly battling other African-centered teachers, where are our people? I'm going where our people are, the masses. The masses of our people are in the white man schools.
Okay.
All of us take this ideological approach. First of all, you know, there's states that don't have one African-centered school. How many African-centered schools in this whole country that go from K to 12? Not many. Why we build that infrastructure? Because I'm a proponent of African-centered schools. But why we do that?
And that's all I'm saying. So
we have to make sure that we are where our people are.
exactly.
We can't abandon them.
But this is my thing. But look, all those names we named too, those were the ones. We ain't popping Toussaint's. We not popping Dessalines. And then two, do we not build them just because? So it's like we don't build. We have to have something, you know, that we start building. It's a shame that we don't have one at one school. Why? That should be a problem, because that
is a problem.
Every time us that if the white man got a school, we want ours. So in my nationalism, in my nation, I want my own. I want my own African school. You
let me just. Can I ask just one question? To the brother, you brought up the leaders that went through European schools and still became leaders. How many of them, after they became leaders, encouraged us to continue to go to European schools?
That's a whole different question. I can't even answer that. But
So
I want you, listen. Before, don't fight me here. Understand where I'm going. Understand me. I'm not here to fight. I want understanding. What I'm saying to you is that is a myth. It is not true. And it's important we deconstruct that, because our people gonna get demoralized when they see, well, damn, I live in this state, there ain't one African in the school nowhere around. Nowhere around. And my family can't afford, and my family can't afford no tuition, so I'm forced to go to the public school. So what does this mean? Do we sit around and say, oh, no Africans in the school, oh well? Or do we say, while we building the African-centered schools, we are training African-centered teachers to go into the existing schools where our people are to teach them? Because when I went to school, Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx, Catholic school, there was Mr. Davis, who was teaching us about astral projection, about Kemetic society, right in the white man's Catholic school. If he wasn't there, there'd be no African presence. So I need you to understand me. We're trying to win. This is not an ego thing. We're trying to say what works, how do things work in real time? And in real time, our people educated themselves in all types of ways. There were no African-centered schools. So I raise a valid question to say, education don't just come from the schools. We got to build villages. The village is the school.
And I think
the village is the school.
I think we say we work harder and we build what we need. I don't think we say we get rid of that and stop. No, we need those. We just got to step up our work more.
Yeah, and it's saying that if you don't have an African-centered school where you live, guess what, shorty? We got Black businesses and Black bookstores and Black hair salons and nanas and grandmas and union leaders and organizational leaders. You still got an African-centered school, but you're not recognizing that because you're taking the white man's definition of education. Africans never said you got to learn right here in this building. That's a European cosmology right there.
I don't think we didn't say that though. We didn't say you had to be in that, you know, because
I didn't say you said that.
Yeah, I do it out my house. You know what I'm saying? You can build it anywhere.
Brother John want to speak back. Yeah, Brother John.
But no,
I love this, man.
Yeah, brother.
We're talking in circles because, and this is why I didn't say anything earlier, but you did mention earlier the importance of institutions.
Yes.
Consider a school or university an institution. And
yes, but it's not. All I'm saying is, if we look at traditional schools as the only educational institutions, we miss the mark, and we're missing great opportunities to organize and educate our people. I'm trying to say that education doesn't only take place in a school building. And if it did, I would be a deaf, dumb, blind Negro, for sure. If it was all about where you go to school, I'd be one of these Uncle Tom Negroes for sure. But it was because I was in Africana Studies and Research Center with Dr. James Turner and Asi Lumumba, who were African nationalists, right? Who were schooling me, even in this Ivy League white school. And even in this white Catholic school, I had Mr. Davis and Mr. Alvarez, who taught us about patriarchy and matrilineal society, right in the belly of the beast. And I had Chuck, who owned a game room, who was screaming on Guyanan politics and revolution and Marxism. And it wasn't in a school building. That's all I'm trying to say, family. That's encouraging, because it means in places that don't have those schools, we can still organize the resources in our village to act as African-centered education outlets for our people. That's all I was trying to say.
Hold on. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I do think, I think we're saying the same thing, but for me, I am somewhat stuck on that importance of having our own institutions. I understand what you're saying. There are things that we can learn in their institution, and if things work out, we get the right combination, and you could come out, as a leader of the race. But
I'm going further. I'm not saying you could. You gave me all these names, and I showed you that all of those people, none of them went to African school. That is a fact. It's not a belief. What I'm saying is we should take something from that.
But you do have to acknowledge, of all those people that we talked about going through those schools, there was still at the end only a small number of our people that were dedicated to our liberation. So we have to account for how many of our people were lost to that educational system and integrated into that system and, found their place, found their home in that system instead of continuing to work to build something for ourselves.
Point taken, no argument from me, but do understand that we are colonized people. We are people who are a colony controlled by someone else, where everything we need for survival comes from them. So I get into some of these conversations with some of my brothers in my fellow nationalist community, and I give them very extreme statements, outlandish statements to make a point. I say, so if you so against the white man, give me all his money you got in your pocket with all his images on it. Give me every dead president you got, brother. You don't want the white man's money, give me that money. And those clothes you got, give me that too. Or that car you driving and the gas you put, give me all that. That's the white man's. That would be absurd, right? Because the understanding is, Agyei, come on, man. We're in captivity, bro, right? So the understanding of everything we say is that we're fighting in the belly of the beast. And sometimes we get compromised, and sometimes we make concessions because we have to. But we have an intentionality that it ain't always going to be like this, and we're working to disrupt this, and we're working to have an independent nation, whether that's a nation within a nation or on a separate actual territory or whatever, right? But we have to know the reality we're in. So when black people come and beat us up, you deaf, dumb, and blind. Yeah, we deaf, dumb, and blind. Of course we're deaf, dumb, and blind. We are colonized by an enemy who works night and day to keep us deaf, dumb, and blind. Don't make people feel bad for that. Help them understand how it works and help and educate them. That's what I'm saying. So for instance, when a guerrilla army in Cuba, when Fidel got them 20 people up in the mountains and they fighting the Bautista and them, what weapons did Fidel and them have? Knives and hatchets and stones. What weapons did the traditional conventional army have? They had real weapons. So did the guerrilla soldiers say, oh, we can't use their weapons, that's the enemy's weapons. We got to use these inferior weapons. We can't use their guns. No, that would be absolute insanity. What they said was, we're going to use what we got, and we're going to kill them, and we're going to take their superior weapons and use it against them. So even when you make the argument, people went to the white man's school, guess what? I committed class suicide. I went to his best schools. I used everything I learned against his ass for decades. And there's many people that do that. Some of you have done that. That's about consciousness and character.